Hello and welcome to Face in the Crowd. It is the show that celebrates your out-of-the-box entrepreneurs. I am your host, Liesl Wilson. Now today, our focus is on an entrepreneur who started his business endeavors at the age of 17 and today owns his own gourmet popcorn store. Let's meet Emil Alexander.
Hi, hello, my name is Emil Alexander, founder of Emilios Gourmet Popcorn, South Africa's first premium gourmet popcorn brand. We manufacture handcrafted premium gourmet popcorn and popcorn-inspired confectionery known as popcornology. Popcornology is the art and science of using popcorn as a canvas to create amazing things where we make popcorn donuts, popcorn macarons, popcorn brownies, and beautiful culinary creations that taste absolutely out of this world. But most importantly, what we do at Emilios is we sell happiness. It's all about making people happy, and that's what we do.
Welcome to Face in the Crowd. We're chatting to Emil Alexander. He is the owner of Emilios Gourmet Popcorn. Emil, thank you for making time to chat with us today.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Your business endeavors obviously have a journey and a story behind it. I mean, how did Emilios Gourmet Popcorn come about?
Well, it's actually it's a long journey. It's a long journey. It wasn't just a sudden epiphany, you know, just didn't happen or just in a jiffy, you know. I started business when I was very young in business, at the age of 17, started doing a whole lot of things. Then I eventually opened up restaurants. I was in the property business. I lost the restaurants, and then I was in the business wilderness for about 5 years or so. And it was during that 5-year period that of trying to get back on my feet that I remembered gourmet popcorn from seeing them in overseas trips. And I'm a foodie. I'm a business person, I'm a creative, so I started playing around and in my kitchen, and yes, and the rest is history, as they say.
And obviously along the journey you've picked up many pearls of wisdom, lessons, some that have worked, some that have not worked, and you've learned what not to do.
Yes.
What are some of those that you have learned? What have you taken from those experiences, especially during the tough times?
Well, one thing that I've learned and that I think is now part of me is just a natural tenacity and just keep on going no matter what obstacles come your way. I started very young, like I said, and then was quite successful by the age of 25, 27. Then took some of my money and opened up franchised restaurants. That was probably the biggest challenge that I had, because I lost them and I lost everything. And then the period of trying to build myself up from losing everything to where I am now was the biggest challenge. And what I learned from that was that you just can't give up, you know. The only time you give up is when you die. But while you are alive, you keep on pushing and you keep on going. You do what you love. I love business. I love being a creative. I love doing things. I love creating value and adding value to people's lives. So I couldn't stop doing that. I needed to find an outlet again. And so a lesson, one of the biggest lessons, there's a lot to learn. I mean, in business, how to deal with partners, how to try and get funding, how to deal with customers. But I think one of the main things that you should have as an entrepreneur is just that tenacity and never say die, never give up attitude. Because if you don't have that, it's one of the main things that you need as an entrepreneur. You cannot give up, because as an entrepreneur, you fail constantly. You fail to get to success. Fail to get to success. So if you're a type of person that gives up, you can't be an entrepreneur. You just go work.
And the ever-evolving nature of the industry that you're in, also you're creative, apart from being an entrepreneur, I mean, you're constantly having to adapt all the time. with the product that you currently serve and feed your customers, I mean, how do you maintain that flow, that adaptation? And also, what sets you then apart from what your competitors offer at this point?
Well, that's one of the things that, me personally, I'm just like that. I've got what they call a starter characteristic. I like to start new things, you know. So I'm constantly innovating. That's something that you must have as a business, to constantly innovate. So that's one of the basic things that I have, one of the basic characteristics. I'm constantly innovating. But yes, you do get tired, you know. Sometimes you just get fatigued and you need to take a rest. But that's one of the things that sets us apart, for me as an entrepreneur, but as a brand. We're constantly trying to come up with new ways, new ideas, new flavors. And we actually gave it a term called popcornology, you know, the art and science of using popcorn as a canvas to craft amazing culinary creations. So we constantly try to come up with new things all the time, and that's one thing that sets us apart. That's one of our differences, because the food industry is so dynamic. It's constantly, and with the internet and technology now, trends are just, the gap between a new thing is just, something new is just becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. There's new things every 6 months now. Soon it's going to be every 3 months. So yeah, it's really draining sometimes, but if you don't do it, you're just gonna fall behind.
Earlier on, you mentioned you started business at the age of 17.
Yeah.
I mean, you've had many successes to date as well. What would you say are some of those successes that you've had, or have you peaked yet? What is your ultimate peak at this point?
I don't think that I'm that successful yet. It's still a path. I mean, I'm succeeding, but I don't feel that I've achieved the goals that I've set out. But you have to celebrate those successes. Yes. And I mean, I think when I was 23, my very first property purchase and development, you know, I did my first property development at the age of 23, and then at the age of 27, when I had a nice little property portfolio. Then at the age of 30, when I, you know, opened up my first restaurant that I bought with my own money, you know, after selling some of my properties. So those are little achievements, you know, having those restaurants for 6 years in a very, very tough environment. Yes, I did lose them, but looking back, you know, just being able to keep those things floating for 6 years, because we opened up in 2007, and remember 2008 was the time when you had this massive worldwide recession, you know, catastrophe.
Yeah.
And I was able to keep on pushing through despite the difficulties that in the environment. The brand that I was in was having difficulties, so that was a success. And then just being able to get back on my feet again with this new thing, being the first to introduce premium gourmet popcorn to South Africa, you know, the different creations we bring, that's a success. But yeah, hopefully my own goals, that, you know, this is the thing that'll make me achieve those massive goals that I've set for myself, because it has been a very daunting journey, but I've had successes.
What are some of the joys you experience from doing what you do?
Customers coming back, saying they love it. That's the biggest joy that I have, you know. When I feel down, and I look outside and I see the competition, and, you know, numbers sometimes are, but when I see regulars coming back every time and telling me, hey, where's my favorite, and, you know, that's the thing. Customers coming back, customers starting to understand the brand, loving the brand, sharing the brand, and the product. That for me is the little energy boosters that keep me going, you know. That's what keeps me going. And obviously wanting to just give my family a better life. I came from poverty, you know, or nuclear elders, we all know there's poverty in those areas, and Westbury and Ennerdale, that's where I grew up for most of my life. So being able to provide now for my kids and give them, you know, a better footing for the future, that's what drives me as well.
What was the trait you would say was the hardest for you to have to overcome? How have you managed to overcome that within yourself?
The biggest challenge that you have to overcome is basically, I think, is and I don't like to go into the race thing and all of that, but I think being a black entrepreneur is difficult. because of your low capital base. You don't have funding. Number one, you've got nothing. You know, I started Emilios with 1,500 rand of borrowed money. That's how I started. And the other businesses, when I started, when I was 17, I started with 200 rand of money that I saved. And I kept on saving. Every time I made money, I saved it. That's how I built. I've never went for funding. Everything has been self-funded, but it's to answer your question, it's lack of funding, man, you know, and not having that capital, that grandmother that leaves you a house, or that uncle that's got a business, or, you know, a father that can boost you. In the township entrepreneurs, that's a big challenge. And then another challenge, I think, is just the social network, the intellectual property, generational IP that you get from a father and the uncles and the mothers, you know. You don't have that when you're in the township. Nobody has businesses. So there's not that generational knowledge and wisdom and networks in the townships. That's a huge challenge for black entrepreneurs. That I'm as experienced as I am with some of my networks, I'm experiencing it now, you know, because now I have to find funding to grow, to get to the next store, because we want to franchise this concept, you know. And now so that challenge now of tapping into the networks, I see now that you know, my network is not that broad. So now I have to, you know, literally tap into my natural sales skills to sell the concept, sell myself, to actually find funding and all of that. So it's funding and just that obstacle, the skills obstacle, the skills set, and that generational social capital and all of that you don't have as a black entrepreneur. That's my challenge that I have now, and that I think I've had since the beginning.
And as you have dabbled in your own business endeavors, you've also managed to give back, because that plays a huge role for you as well.
Yes.
And what are some of those charitable endeavors you've embarked on? How have you decided to give back and help others?
I've always been giving back. It's not just now. Even when I started out, I remember when I had some very early on, I used to buy, there was a crèche in my area. 3 or 4 crèches that I sponsored them with jungle gyms and stuff when I made good money, you know. So, but currently with Emilios, we've got 2 things that we do. Once a year, we have this massive popcorn donut that we build for World Popcorn Day on the 19th of January. And then we put it in the front of the store. We cut it up into slices, and all the proceeds go to purchasing stationery for kids in Diepsloot. Because, I mean, the business is situated in Diepsloot, so we plow back into the Fourways area. And then once a month, we do what we call our flavor of the month for school shoes. So all the proceeds from the flavor of the month goes to buying school shoes for kids in Diepsloot as well.
Oh, this is not a one-man show. I mean, you have many people who help you, work with you, whom you employ. We managed to catch up with a few of them, and this is what they had to say about working with you.
Hi, my name is Innocent Koza. I'm a popcornologist at Emilios Gourmet Popcorn. I started to work here 2 years ago, and the feeling that I've gotten and the experience that I've had since I've started working here has been a sensation, because I was able to make people happy with what we're able to create and what we serve. And it's been a great experience to serve something new to our country. I would say he's a good person, a God-fearing person who's got good morals, and his moral compass is on the right point. With his product, he wanted to make people happy, which is the greatest part of my job. What I've learned from Emilio is that I'm able to make people happy with great creations. It taught me diligence, and it showed me how much a product can be important in customer service, people skills. That's what I've learned here. Emilios as a company, I wish we can grow more, even make the world more happier. because that's the whole concept. We're based on making people happy. So we are very grateful for everyone who has supported us so far, and then we're ready to move forward.
Well, it is time for a quick break. When we return, we get to know Emil a little more personally. Stay tuned.